Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Stafford.
Here.
Alderman Lincoln.
Here.
Alderman Sahaski.
Here.
Alderman Weston.
Here.
Alderman Sherman.
Here.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Woodward.
Here.
City Attorney Hawthorne.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Good for you, Dave. Thank you. There are two items that are going to be pulled from the agenda at this time. Item 1 will be pulled, and item 4. Start with item 2.
Yes. Okay. Resolved that the minutes of the council meeting of December 5th and December 19th, 2000 are hereby approved.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item.
Whereas the clerk was authorized and directed to advertise for public hearing to be held at this meeting relative to a zone change request submitted by Fulton Community Development Agency for a change of zone from R2 residential to R3 residential for their property located at 202 Oak Street, formerly the Oak Street School, for the purpose of constructing a senior housing project called Oak Street Manor. Mayor Stafford will declare the public hearing open.
Do you want to make a presentation prior to opening up for questions, comments?
Yeah, I apologize because the developer isn't here this evening. We were under the understanding that this was going to be on the 16th of January, so I didn't have enough time to give them adequate notice to be here. As you know, we purchased the Oak Street School from the Fulton City School District this past summer and went out for development proposals, receiving them in November, and the agency board made a decision on Edgemere Development, Inc., out of Rochester, New York. They intend to build 12, or to rehab 12 units, 8 one-bedrooms, 4 two-bedrooms. Approximately, one-bedrooms are 620 to 630 square feet. The two-bedrooms are 782 to 943 square feet, and 1 or 2 bedrooms with full kitchens, bath, living, dining room, and storage areas as well. Their total development costs are around $1.9 million. They will be looking for funding the end of February. We'll probably apply on behalf of the City of Fulton for $450,000 from the State Housing Trust Fund Corporation to offset some of the costs of development. We'll start construction, hopefully, around 10/1, if approved. The completion will be around August 2nd of '02, and it'll be occupied by August, starting occupancy in August '02. They have their financing in order. There are some issues, I guess, with the Planning Commission still. They want to talk about ingress and egress, and they want to talk about the number of parking spaces available. We did some polling of the neighborhood. We sent out notices to the adjoining neighbors. Didn't have a lot of negative comments. We have had a lot of interest from neighbors in the area who might perhaps want to live in these units when completed as well. So I guess we need to change from the R2 to R3 because of the number of units that are going to be in the building. I think 8 was the cutoff, and this is going to be 12 units.
Carol, is this strictly a seniors housing?
It's strictly senior, and it will be assisted. It'll be Section 8, which will be provided through our agency. We have taken one allocation of Section 8 housing vouchers, and we'll tie it to the building.
In other words, you didn't increase your
We decreased
number?
our number.
Okay.
And that zone change is only going to affect the Oak Street
Just
School
that,
property? Okay.
Does anyone else on the council have any questions of Carol?
No, but I know several people that live in that area, and they think that that's a real nice idea for that facility.
It's better than having a vacant school.
I agree with you.
Yes, by all means.
We've been busy on West First Street. We have at least 7 parcels on the east side of West First Street from the CYO South that are signing up for some rehab assistance. We're looking on the side streets from Beach Street all the way down to at this point we've been canvassing. We have information on who's interested in some possible rehab, all the way actually to about West 3rd Street area. So we're hoping to try to put together a home application at the end of this month and also tie in some small cities funding as well in March for this whole project area around the school to really upgrade all of the neighborhoods. We haven't worked in that area
know.
in a very, very long time.
I know.
Yes. Is there anyone in the audience that would care to speak on this subject? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dave Mankiewicz, and I'm a resident of 460 West First Street, and I'm right around the corner from Oak Street. I'm two blocks from the school. If you stood in my backyard, you would see the school building right out the backyard. And I just want to affirm what you said. It's a great use compared to a vacant building. We certainly would love to see the building redeveloped. It's been a shame to see it vacant for as long as it has, and I think it would be great to have this use in it. So I hope you'd vote to support the zone change from R2 to R3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Anyone on the council? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Be resolved that the zone change request submitted by Fulton Community Development Agency for change of zone from R2 residential to R3 residential for their property located at 202 Oak Street is hereby approved.
Alderman Sahaski, do you want to make that motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion. Thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Next item.
Resolved that the mayor be authorized to execute the contract agreement between the City of Fulton, Fulton Historical Society commencing January 1, 2001, and ending December 31st, 2001, in the amount of $7,000. Said amount is a budgeted amount to be charged to the A7550.4428 celebrations account.
Now, is this money that is allocated towards them in our budget, but are we going to be writing them a letter asking them for a copy of their budget
Can we,
to,
Yeah, and I understand there have been concerns, John, from some of the aldermen about this, and not only in relation to the Historical Society, but some of the other organizations that we fund.
Right.
I would suggest a motion directing me to write to all of the organizations.
Right.
Money to, asking them to show us
Right.
their financial situation.
because I know that I had requested the chamber contract back this past year, and it was not given to me or John Crook, and I think if we're going to be allocating taxpayers' money, the council ought to be able to take a look at their budgets to see where their money's going, the money that we're going to give them goes for.
well, in that regard, do you want to make a motion to table this resolution until we send them a letter?
I would do so, yes.
Okay. Need a second on that?
Yes.
Do we have a second on the motion to table?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion is tabled. Now, we need a motion. How do you want that worded?
Just directing myself, as city attorney, to inquire from the various organizations that we fund as to their, to see their financial records.
All right, hearing that, do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We'll go to the next item.
Resolved that the mayor be authorized to execute the contract agreement between the City of Fulton, Fulton Chamber of Commerce, commencing January 1st, 2001, ending December 31st, 2001, in the amount of $6,000. Said amount is a budgeted item to be charged to the A7550.4427 celebrations account.
Same. Again,
Motion to table?
motion on the table.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. To table. Next item.
Are we going to do this based on city attorney, like we did the other one?
Yes, that'll be all encompassing.
Okay. Resolved that the mayor be authorized to execute the contract agreement between the City of Fulton and Fulton Central New York Regional Transportation Authority, Central Bus, commencing January 1, 2001, and ending December 31st, 2001, the amount of $20,000. Said amount is a budgeted item to be charged to the A5630.4409 bus transportation account.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item.
Resolved that the Fulton Patriot be designated as the official city newspaper for fiscal year 2001.
Do I hear a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item.
Notation that the reappointment by Mayor Stafford of Mr. Charles Zazeski, 90 Ridge Road, Fulton, New York, to the Fulton Library Board effective January 1, 2001, and to expire December 31st, 2003, is entered into the minutes of this council meeting of January 2nd as a matter of record.
Next item.
Notation that the reappointment by Mayor Stafford of Mrs. Rosa Chemis, 86 Ridge Road, Fulton, New York, to the Library Board, effective January 1, 2001, and to expire December 31st, 2003, is entered in the minutes of this council meeting of January 2nd, 2001, as a matter of record.
Next item.
Resolved that the mayor be authorized to sign a 5-year agreement, the digital centric service agreement with Alltel.
Do I hear a motion?
Well, I have a question. This is to give us a savings on this
Yes.
over the term? What, I heard something about this before. Yearly estimate?
Yes.
It's about $25. It's about $25 a month. Savings.
Savings was about $25 a month over what we have been paying.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item.
Resolved the mayor be authorized to sign a 1-year long-distance agreement with Alltel.
Is there a motion?
I'll offer.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Trouble. Motion's carried. Next item.
Notation that the appointment by Mayor Stafford of Mr. Mike Calkins, 514 Fulton Ave, Fulton, New York, to the Fire and Police Commission effective January 1, 2001, and to expire December 31st, 2001, is hereby entered into the minutes of this council meeting of January 2nd, 2001, as a matter of record.
Next item.
Notation that the reappointment by Mayor Stafford of Mr. Mark Fruce III, 112 West 7th Street, Fulton, New York, to the Lake Neontawana Shoreline Development Commission, effective January 1, 2001, and to expire December 31st, 2003, is hereby entered into the minutes of this council meeting of January 2nd, 2001, as a matter of record.
Next item.
Notation that the appointment by Mayor Stafford of Alderman Edward Sahoski, 503 West 2nd Street, Fulton, New York, to the Lake Neontawana Reclamation Committee, effective January 1, 2001, is hereby entered in the minutes of this meeting of January 2nd, 2001, as a matter of record.
Next item.
Resolved that the city chamberlain transfer $90 from the gifts and donations account into the 2989 Police Department DARE account.
Do we hear a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there anyone in the audience who has any business to bring before the council? Is there any member of the council that has any business to bring before the council?
Well, this meeting has been way too short. With the knowledge that there is a football game tonight and a basketball game, I will keep my remarks short. However, I do have a couple of items that I want to bring up for possible discussion, or at least to get some input on. Obviously, we just came through a very, very white Christmas. We had snow, and we had snow, and we had more snow. Now, with that, it disrupts certainly the city's routine of a number of things, one of them being garbage. I had a number of calls with a concern that the normal pickup date certainly had been gone by, and the question was as to when it would be picked up. There was people that were putting their garbage out, taking it back in, and putting it back out. So I did call Mr. Crook Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and he did provide me with information as to certain things that we kind of have to keep in mind. Number one of the concerns that we have to have at all times with the snow plowing procedure is the safety of our people. This would be the people that drive the plows, and the people that pick up the garbage. So that's a number one concern. When we get that much snow and it happens that often, it certainly stretches our people to the limit. We only have so many people. I think people need to realize that the DPW consists of many different people doing many different jobs. These are the people that pave the streets in the summertime when it's 95 degrees out. These are the people that plow the streets, remove the snow from downtown, shovel the sidewalks downtown for businesses, and they do an awful lot of other things other than the jobs that they normally would be doing with a routine. And we have a number of people that work on the garbage removal that also act as wingmen, and there would be some drivers also that would be driving snowplows. So I think that we should be, and I certainly appreciate the people who were very patient with the whole situation. And I think we have to, once again, kind of take our hats off to DPW. They do an awful lot of different jobs. The categories that they fall into, whatever someone else isn't doing, then they're doing it. You've got the water and sewer that are working on the water lines and sewer problems, but the DPW falls into all the different categories that don't fall into anything specific. The second thing that I want to mention is as you read in the paper, the city historian, Mary Ellen Ross, brought it to our attention that she was very concerned, and she wanted other people to be concerned too, that with the possible sale of the Elks Club, that we would once again lose a very historical building. Now, we hear this all the time, and I think all of us, certainly setting up here, and certainly the majority of the people in the city, want to maintain our historical buildings, but at the same time, we don't have that power or responsibility or control or whatever you might want to say to keep a building that, one, it's owned by someone else. It's owned by the Elks Club. And it's my understanding that I know that the Board of Directors has approved a sale, and it's up to the Board of Governors now is to finally approve it. But in theory, it would be nice if we could keep these buildings up, but in reality, the building itself sold for probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $425,000. And I know that the maintenance on the building, its tremendous heat bills, it probably would take another $200,000 or $300,000 to bring it up to the type of building that you would want. And then you would have the problem of who really wants the building. So, I think we are all well-intentioned, but at the same time, it's difficult to take care of those buildings without a reasonable, who's going to take the cost?
Bob, I have a question on that. Now, in that money that they said that they were going to take, isn't part of that have to go towards demolition and removal of the building?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if part of it or not. It's part of that money.
If the deal goes through, it's going to be up to the Elks to pay for the demolition of the building.
Right. So
but it's right now out of the hands of anybody local. It goes to the Grand Lodge. They are the ones that make the decisions on if it will be, to approve the deal, from what I have heard. So it's really out of any local hands at this point in time, I believe.
Right. So that's what I mean. As far as, we would love to save that building, but, what are the alternatives? For us to come up with somewhere around $750,000 to keep the building there, and then what would we do with it?
Well, we have a historic building that, being the Pratt House, that our Historical Society is in, and was just this last year put on the national record of historical places, and that's great. But I believe that they're in financial trouble. They need to make repairs to the building to the tune of, yeah, and that was only part of it. They need a new roof and new windows, and it all has to be architecturally correct, and it gets very, very expensive. And I know they're doing fundraising wherever they possibly can to try to come up with the money to make these repairs so it doesn't deteriorate any further. And I just don't know where the money would come from if an individual was to buy the Alps. That would be a very expensive endeavor.
We would like certain things to happen in our city, but at the same time, we have very little control sometimes over what happens. We may or may not be satisfied with what happens to that property.
Other cities or communities seem to have some sort of expertise in preserving properties like that, and Fulton obviously doesn't have it yet. And unfortunately, by the time it gets here, buildings like that disappear. And it may be worth our while to try to look into what other communities are doing to preserve properties like that. There's got to be some way, somewhere down the line, to aid in preserving properties like that. And unfortunately, it'd probably be too late for the Elks Club. I hated to see the Knights of Columbus come down, but it's just another. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of the buildings that still remain in Fulton as far as historic properties. We continue to lose them. Oswego is a perfect example of being able to retain a bunch of their older properties. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're whether they've got other restrictions on them, I don't know. But we may want to look into what the other communities are doing. I know, for instance, the city of Auburn does a great job. Auburn's come a long way. They had the urban renewal blight down there where they went through that, but their downtown has really come back around. They've got some unique things going on there, and Auburn is really turning the corner. They're really looking good down there right now, and we might want to take a look at what they're doing too.
Okay.
Good point.
Anything else, Alderman Weston?
I said my piece.
Very good, thank you.
I think he allowed me some time. I kind of nudged him a little bit. One of the things.
Kicked me, wasn't it? Nudge me.
Okay. One of the things I want to do is I want to thank the city workers of the good job that they did, and the people in the Second Ward of being very, very patient. I don't want to recap what Bob said. But they did a fantastic job. One other thing, and this is just a clarification statement. I've had a call on the west side. I would call it the west side parking lot. And that's behind the Community Development Agency. There's a section in there that the city does own. The other section in there is private property. And we have no responsibility on private property land. I just wanted to make that clear because I did have a call about cars being parked in there. That is not our responsibility. The city lot is ours. So I just want to clarify that.
I just want to echo the same sentiments that Bob and Ed had on the wonderful job our DPW and our emergency crews did over this past week with this different snow that we had. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Sherman?
I'm all set.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I talked to Buck over the weekend, and they were just pulling the guys off so they could get a little sleep because they were falling asleep. I was wondering, I think we hired 3 people, Your Honor, this year for water and sewer or sidewalks or something?
They haven't been hired yet.
Are we going to?
Yeah.
Is there any way we could get those guys, are they going to be assigned to DPW?
Yes.
Maybe, could we get them to get, or maybe they already have licenses, could help out in the snow?
Hopefully.
Because that way we won't, it might take some of the strain off the two. Also, last week, too, you had the holidays, so that put a strain before you ever had snow.
Oh, it certainly did.
I mean, we all get complaints about it, but if you get out and see what they're doing a pretty good job, you know?
All in all, we fielded a number of calls in my office. Most of them were in regards to the trash situation and wondering when it was going to be picked up. And a lot of the people that I talked to didn't realize that the same crew that does the plowing does the trash and recycle pickup, and we can only do them one at a time.
That's right. A lot of people I talked to didn't realize that.
We don't have this wealth of manpower just sitting around waiting for something to happen to go to work, so.
We can't put a plow in front of a Packer?
Well, that is all right.
Just kidding.
They do in New York City.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Did we figure on putting those street people on in the spring, or did we figure on, you know,
we were
for a full
looking at
year
spring, but
round?
we might be able to do it now.
Yeah, but that might take some of the pressure off, you know, if we could.
If they do come through with licenses,
Yeah.
yes.
Was there a problem as far as the snow and cover-up garbage? Was that a problem for the...
Some of it got covered, yeah. But I think for the most part, people were good about going out and uncovering it the next morning, and they worked right through. I would have to say, I bet you some of the DPW people have worked between 70 and 80 hours this last week.
Yeah.
I know this, that they were out an awful lot, and I really appreciate the work that they did. And I appreciate, for the most part, the patience that our residents had. And once we explained the situation to many of them, they did understand and just wished us luck.
Yeah.
So.
That happens a lot of years, though, Mayor, when you get real bad snow.
We haven't had a storm like this in the last 4 years.
You're right. You know, we've been kind of softened a little bit, and all of a sudden this hits us. And here, the city of Syracuse has already had 12 inches more snow since September this year than all of last winter. So we've got to look forward to that.
Are we getting ready to clean the storm drains in preparation of the flood?
Deal with that when it comes.
Yes.
I think just the logistics of the plowing operation itself, I think it takes 5 to 6 hours to cover a ward.
To get all the streets, yes.
So, you know, you sometimes would like the plow to go down your street first, but they all can't be on the same street at the same time. So, you know, it's taken 5 or 6 hours, and if it's snowing real hard, then they have to go back out and do the bridges again.
Well, they do the bridges and 481 and 3 where they have to gang plow, where they have to put about 3 plows together to clear that.
Right.
And they may have to break off from the wards to come back and do that to allow the through traffic to continue moving through the city. They've just done a tremendous job. I do want to mention, there was an article put in the paper. We sent a news release out to the paper, all the papers. I just want to ask parents to try to keep their kids from playing on the snowbanks along the edge of the road. It is extremely hazardous at this time. Once they start winging the banks back and using the big blower to cut the banks back, if kids are playing in the snowbanks at that time, building forts or something like that, they could sustain very serious, if not fatal, injuries. And if the way the traffic is and as narrow as the streets are now, it could be a very serious situation. So I know the kids love to play on them and they love to build the forts, but it's in their best interest at this point in time, especially if they don't do that. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
The other problem that you kind of said is a lot of guys take vacations now.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking like, why can't